I call to order the December 2018 legislative session of the Media Borough Council. Please stand and join me in the salute to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Recently, the former President of the United States, George H.W. Bush, passed away. To some, he was a polarizing figure. To all, I think we recognize that his many years of service to his country were exemplary. So I ask that we have a moment of silence for the passing of George H.W. Bush. Thank you. Okay, so let's take care of some housekeeping matters. We have 3 sets of meeting minutes. The first is for the workshop meeting of November 2018. Do I hear a motion to approve those as submitted?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
There is. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving the November 2018 workshop meeting minutes as submitted, please say aye.
Yes.
Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. The motion passes unanimously. The second set of meeting minutes concerns a CDBG public hearing. CDBG is Community Development Block Grant. That was held middle of November, right before our legislative meeting. Do I hear a motion to approve those meeting minutes as submitted?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving the November 15, 2018 CDBG public hearing minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. The motion passes unanimously. And last, but certainly not least, our regular council meeting from November. We have a set of meeting minutes. Do I hear a motion to approve those as submitted?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
There is. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving the council meeting minutes for November 2018 as submitted, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say nay. The motion passes unanimously. Okay, so now we get to hear from the public. Is there anybody here who wishes to address council? Please come to the microphone, tell us your name, where you live, and what's on your mind. There are no takers, so we will move along to the engineer's report. Mr. Mattson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President. Just a few items. Because I sit on the Public Safety Committee, which meets on the 3rd Thursday, I just wanted to announce that that meeting will be canceled for next week. So if anyone has concerns for public safety, they can be emailed or written to the borough, but we will not be meeting next week. Just another development, we have made some changes to the signal at State and Providence to improve traffic conditions with regard to the trolley. There were some hiccups getting started, but it is fully operational now. SEPTA was on board, PennDOT was on board, so it's an improvement to safety. There were concerns about traffic movements with the trolley, and it's a nice improvement, and job well done. Just also to report on the Veterans Square Garden project, I spoke to the contractor this evening. He believes that he will be fully out of the borough at, I believe, Monday, but Tuesday at the latest. I anticipate that he sticks to the schedule. It has slipped, according to him, again, he's had concerns about the weather. There were some unforeseen things in the field, but I don't think there was anything there that was a showstopper. There were some things we had to work through, but on the whole, the contractor reports that it will be done next week. Parking, again, in front of Veterans Square Garden is open. Since there are no meters, folks might be confused. My understanding is there's no requirement to pay for parking if the meters are not there. So it's open until we get the kiosk installed.
So in other words, people can park there now.
That's right. You can park there now without fear of getting a ticket. That's all I have.
And still diagonal
That's
at
correct.
this point.
That's right.
But are there signs? I didn't look.
I think that the protective fence was still up, but I don't think there was a sign. But
Okay, so people in the know will know that they can park.
That's right. And folks have been using the parking. The parking has been back in use, which means people have been parking. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Mattson. Does anyone have any questions for the borough engineer? Hearing none, we'll move to the Mr. Scott for the Borough Solicitor's Report.
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't have anything to report this evening.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Scott at this time? Hearing none, we'll move along to the Mayor's Report. Mr. Mayor.
Okay, I have 2 items for this month. First, on November 25th, which was a Sunday, there was a house fire at 2 East Ridge Road, 1 fatality. Investigators were on the scene, and next of kin was notified on the person that passed away. The other item is officers responded to one of our banks for 2 people attempting to cash fraudulent checks. Both subjects were arrested in the bank. Another person was waiting in a car outside. This person fought with officers, and he was found to have a gun in the car. It was also found to be on patrol for homicide. All subjects are now arrested and are residing in Delaware County Prison. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Does anyone have any questions for the mayor at this time? Hearing none, and before we get to the council committee reports, it is my duty to advise the public of the executive session that was held immediately before or just before this meeting. There are 2 topics. One was the status of litigation concerning Brumos Lake Country Club. The country club filed suit against the borough early this year, and a little bit more about that later in tonight's session. And the other item involved a potential sale lease of public property that involved the Stone Cottage that is right here in the Borough Complex. And I expect that Councilman Robinson will have a few words to say about that. With those words, we'll move to council committee reports. And first up, Councilman Robinson, Properties, Public Works, and Fire.
Okay, thank you all very much. Good evening to everybody. Before I get into my actual committee reports, there's a couple little items I'd just like to bring up. First, last end of November, we had our holiday parade that was here. It was very, very well received. Understanding that there were numbers estimated at somewhere between 7,000 and 9,000 people. It was crowded enough that all of State Street was used, and people are starting to recognize the parade continued down Front Street, so there were hundreds of people that are now using Front Street as part of the parade route. As important, or even more important, was that on Black Friday, our fire department put on an excellent evening for the youth of our community at the firehouse. I don't know how they're able to do it, but every year they're able to swing Santa to swing by and say hello to all the kids. So Santa was there for a while. They had cookie decorating, playing with crayons and doing drawings, and an opportunity to see all the fire apparatus. Really want to thank the fire company for that. It was really an outstanding job, and in conversation with them, it appears that they want to or will be looking at expanding that event a little bit more for next year. Last night I had the opportunity to attend a World Water Day, I'm sorry, not the Philadelphia accent, World Water Day. This was held by Representative Chris Quinn at the Newtown Township building. There were representatives of every municipality in which Mr. Quinn represents. And really what it was, it's a brainstorming session to recognize that on March 21st will be a International Water Day. There was an individual there who is a resident of Upper Providence, who actually owns a well digging company, which is not that common in the borough because we all have public water, but even in areas of Upper Providence and our other municipalities, there are requirements to have well water. This individual donates his own time and equipment and has been working, putting in wells in several countries, mainly in Africa. And what this is just, they're looking at ways in which we might be able to bring further recognition to the organization. Some of the ideas is we were talking about working with some of the elementary schools, also a possibility of elected officials having some sort of a competition with regards to carrying water on their heads, as they have to do sometimes in some of the countries in Africa. Found it very interesting, and will provide more information as we meet again. I guess moving on to my committee reports. First is a resolution 2018-47. It is the authorization to place a 2009 Crown Victoria rate car on our, I'm sorry, this is a wording, I apologize. the awarding of our 2009 Crown Vic for $2,500. That's in the form of a motion, so I'd accept the second.
Is there a second on the motion?
A second.
Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving Resolution 2018-47 with regard to the sale of a 2009 Crown Vic for $2,500, please say aye.
Yes.
Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. The motion passes unanimously.
The individual got a great deal, nothing like buying a used police vehicle. Second on the agenda is a proposal for painting our community room. As was discussed earlier this evening in our budget meeting, the Borough Hall now is, believe it or not, 25 years old, or 20 years old, and in some areas we use a little touch-up. So we are now in the process of putting a new floor in our community room, as well as painting the community room. We went out to bid for this and had 3 different responses. Low bid is Nolan Painting of Havertown at $61.60, at $6,160. So I'd make a motion that we approve this proposal from Nolan Painting to paint our community room. If you want me to get into details, it's referencing scraping, sanding, using top Benjamin Moore scuff paint, and also having a color consultant come out and work with us, which I believe has already come out and is working with some of our staff. So I make a motion that we approve the painting contract to Nolan Painting of Havertown, Pennsylvania, a dollar amount of $6,160.
Is there a second on the motion?
Second.
There is. Any discussion on the motion? Does it include painting?
Those guys are good at it, they don't need it. But maybe we should use some for ourselves.
All right, so I'll call the question. All those in favor of approving the proposal of Nolan Painting for painting the community center in the amount of $6,160, please say aye.
Yes.
Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. The motion passes unanimously.
Last on my formal agenda is to ratify the recommendation for membership for 2 borough residents to serve on the Society for the Performing Arts. Many individuals in the borough may not be aware that the Borough of Media owns the theater, and part of the lease agreement with the Performing Arts is that the borough has the ability to recommend members to serve on their board of directors. With that, the Borough Council is recommending to the theater that Jeff Rocha and David Kroll be appointed to the board's theater. That was ratified, so I make that in the form of a motion.
Is there a second on the motion?
Second.
All right, is there discussion on the motion, Councilman?
Just clarity, you mean the media theater, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Didn't say that.
Okay. The media theater. Last on my agenda, or last, but, I'm sorry.
You take a vote. Any other discussion? Both are borough residents.
Yes.
All right, I call the question. All those in favor of ratifying for a recommendation for membership on the Society for the Performing Arts Directors, 2 borough residents, Dave Kroll and Jeff Rosia, please say aye.
Yes.
Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. The motion passes unanimously.
And last, it was not on the agenda, but it was discussed initially at executive session. As we are all aware, that the county has had to take down several of their buildings, their parking facilities. One of the buildings that came down is where Delaware County's community service meets to coordinate and then move the community volunteers, shall I call them, out to service other communities. The director and the assistant director of community service approached the borough asking if it would be possible if we could look at locations within the borough which they could use. After looking around and talking to a couple of different places, what I have recommended to council, we discussed this evening, is that community service could use, or what we call the Stone Cottage. The Stone Cottage did have some issues last year. It currently has electricity, does not have heat. The individuals would only need it for 15-20 minutes in the morning for a staging area. The community service vans would come in, pick the individuals up, and leave to their designated sites. I would like to make a motion that we move forward with the approval of this with the fact that we have our solicitor review and finalize all documents with the county and Delaware County Community Service. This would be right now going to March of 2019, so that would be in the form of a motion.
Is there a second on the motion?
Second.
There certainly is. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the use of the stone cottage as outlined by Councilman Robinson, at least through the period of from the present to March of 2019, please say aye.
Yes.
Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. The motion passes unanimously.
And just one last little note for our residents, you know, with the holiday season coming up, where there are a few days in which the borough will be closed. So those that have Monday trash pickup, there will be no Monday trash pickup on December 24th. We will have one pickup for that week, which would be that Thursday. For those that have trash pickup on Tuesdays, that is Christmas Day, the 25th. There would be no trash pickup on the 25th, and that would be picked up on the traditional Friday. That goes the same for New Year's Eve, which is Monday the 31st, as well as New Year's Day, Tuesday, January 1st. All recycling that occurs on a Tuesday would be picked up on that Wednesday. So please keep that in mind. And last but not least, everyone please remember the holiday season. We have candles lit, Christmas trees, light bulbs going on. Please try to be safe, and that's a recommendation from our fire department and our fire chief. With that, wishing everyone a Merry Christmas.
Thank
Concludes my report.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions or comments for Councilman Robinson? All right, hearing none, we'll move along to Councilwoman Lisa Johnson, the Business Authority, Historic, Public Safety, and Civil Service.
Thank you. The one item on my agenda tonight is the ordinance number 1133. It's a housekeeping activity that we do once a year to incorporate amendments we have done throughout the year into our ordinances. And specifically, we have several additions of handicap parking and the removal of one handicap parking. So I make a motion to accept these changes into our ordinance number 1133.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving ordinance number 1133 with regard to traffic ordinance amendments, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. I have nothing more.
Are there any questions for Councilwoman Lisa Johnson at this time? Hearing none, we'll move on to Councilwoman Amy Johnson, Fair Trade Farmers Market, Shade Tree, and the EAC.
Thank you. Just a quick announcement and reminder that the Media Farmers Market will be continuing through the winter. Same location, which is on Edgemont between State and Front. The market will be held the first and the third Sunday, so every other week, and the hours are 10 to noon. And that's it. That concludes my report.
Are there any questions for Councilwoman Amy Johnson? Hearing none, before we proceed to my portion of the agenda, Lisa, just a quick reminder, the ball drop on New Year's Eve, as I recall, the police are requesting that vehicles not be parked after a certain hour. Do you recall what that time is? I think it was 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock on State Street near Spazos.
Okay. And after that time, the police are requesting that anyone who's parked there leave so as to allow for the festivities to take place. And
No damage be
and no
done
damage done.
to the
Okay.
cars.
Yeah, sometimes people do get carried away.
It's from Church Street to Olive Street, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
Okay.
Um,
Which is Trader Joe's to Olive Street.
Well, Jackson, it goes from Jackson.
I think it goes east of Jackson for a bit.
Right.
So Church Street to Olive Street.
Anywhere near the Spazos, I'd say, because I don't recall the exact map.
It starts at all.
Oh, is it? No.
So Trader Joe's down to Olive Street. Trader Joe's down to Deal Station.
I think it's what it said.
Okay, so there's one action item on my agenda. It's with regard to a consultant that we have already used in the past. The consultant is eConsult, an associated consultant is Catherine Timko, and they worked with us through last year in order to put together a downtown business strategy report. There are several recommendations that came out of that report that involve the NBA, and council is acting on those recommendations, and we're thinking about ways to make the NBA more effective at what it does. And so several members of council, including Councilwoman Amy Johnson and Councilman Peter Williamson, who's not present tonight, and I have been meeting with several members of the NBA. We had one meeting and trying to address these issues. These meetings are being facilitated by the consultants, eConsult and Catherine Timko. We expect there will be at least one more. There will be a public presentation as well as a written report. Tonight I'm moving that we enter into a formal agreement with those consultants for an amount not to exceed $10,000 to that end.
I second that motion.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Just one for clarification. Lisa Johnson, not Amy Johnson.
Did I say Amy Johnson?
Yeah.
Oh, I apologize. But it's
I would
Lisa
do it all the
Johnson.
time.
Okay, I'll call the question. All those in favor of ratifying the proposal for realignment facilitation service for MBA in the amount not to exceed $10,000, please say aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say nay. Motion passes unanimous.
All right, that's the only action item I have. I have one announcement. Those of you who follow us because you have nothing better to do with your time know that earlier this year, the Borough Council, as well as individual members of Borough Council, were sued by the Brumos Lake Country Club. This regards some issues involving the dam and the zoning of their property. And Council, I think, was rightly perturbed by this, in large part because we thought that the lawsuit did not have merit. Earlier this month, the federal court in which this lawsuit was filed by Brumos Lake Country Club agreed with us that it does not have merit, and the case was dismissed in its entirety. The appeals period does not expire until January 9, I believe that is. So we have to wait word for that, but for now, that lawsuit has been removed from the court. And with that, I think we'll turn things over to Councilman Boyer for Recreation and Board of Health.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just have a few quick announcements before that. I would like to commend the members of the Rec Board for another successful year. They put on many wonderful events, some of which were mentioned earlier in the budget. The last of which was this past December 8th, their Winter Wonderland from 12 to 2, and from what I understand, it was well attended, and Santa was there, and everybody had a great time. So thanks again to the Rec, and they do a great job. Bunch of volunteers, but they put on lots of events. It makes the borough more wonderful than it already is, so I thank them again. Other than the Winter Wonderland, the only other announcement I have is one of the first events of the new year will be March 2nd, the annual Family Dance from 5 to 8. That is on a Saturday. That is at the community center. Generally, the price is $5 for adults, $2 for kids. It comes with pizza, chicken nuggets, salad, and beverages. So plan ahead. Saturday, March the 2nd, 5 to 8, the annual Family Dance. And
It's 5 o'clock to 8?
5 to 8, yes. It's a lot of little kids. And after 8 o'clock, it can get a little dicey. So that's about it. Yeah, 5 to 8. And you are more than welcome to attend.
Thank you.
Or chicken nuggets you can eat.
No, pizza.
Pizza.
All right, well, does anyone else have any questions or comments for Councilman Boyer? Hearing none, we will move along to Finance and Library. Finance and Library portion of the agenda tonight will not be presented by Councilman Williamson because Councilman Williamson is not present tonight. He is with family. Instead, that portion of the agenda will be presented by Councilwoman Lisa Johnson. I got it right that time. This is really sort of the centerpiece of tonight's meeting. So, Lisa, with no further ado, now is your time to shine.
Okay, thank you. First item on the agenda is the payment of our bills. Now, this says October. Is that?
That'll be November.
That would be November, yeah, okay. So let's So we were going to pay our bills, or ratify paying of the bills for November. The general fund being $295,604.30. The recreation fund is $4,746.81. The liquid fuels fund, there is no payment of bills. And the capital fund, $22,277.35, for a total of $322,628.46. Make that in the form of a motion.
Second.
The motion's been made and has been seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the borough paying its bills for November 2018 in the amounts as specified by Councilwoman Lisa Johnson, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. The second item on the agenda, to me, is the most exciting one, is ordinance number 1134, the setting of the 2019 millage rate for our taxes, and I'm happy to report that there is no increase, and we will set the millage rate at 3 mills, which has been the same for many years, but I don't know how many. Jeff, do you have any?
Since 2006.
2006. Very good. So I'm pleased to report that. I make that in the form of a motion as well.
Second.
Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving ordinance number 1134, which sets the millage rate for 2019 at 3 mills, please say aye.
Yes.
Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. The motion passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you. The third item is the adoption of our final 2019 general, capital, liquid fuels, and recreation fund budgets. We had a previous public hearing at 7:30 this evening where Jeff Smith, our borough manager, presented our budget that I hope will be adopted in a minute or two. A lot of work was done, a lot of good effort being done. It is posted on our website, so you can see many of the details. But basically, it's the general fund is an $8.9 million budget. The capital fund is a $4.1 million budget. Liquid fuels is under $200,000, and recreation fund is about $75,000. For a total of $13.2 million. So I'd like to make a motion to adopt the final budget for all 4 of these: general, capital, liquid fuels, and recreation budgets.
Second.
Motion's been made and it has been seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion?
Did a good job. Finance did a good job, and our staff did an outstanding job.
I think that that's right. I think that for those of you who aren't aware of the budget process, and why would you be? Because you've got better things to do with your October evenings and your November evenings and your December evenings. There's an enormous amount of work that goes into this, and people really drill down into the minutiae of the budget, and it's exhausting. But out of that comes what I believe is a very fine budget, very fine set of budgets. Special kudos to Councilwoman Lisa Johnson and Peter Williamson, who serve on Finance Committee, as well as to Brian Towson-Lux. He is the Borough Treasurer, and I think that their hard work is reflected in these budgets. So with all that, how can we say no to this? All those in favor of approving the budgets as outlined by Councilwoman Lisa Johnson, please say aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. The fourth item on the agenda is the audit engagement letter from Barbicane Thornton and Company for the 2018 audit. And just to give you a piece of information, they actually do 4 audits for us, and one is for the borough itself at $22,100. The Media Business Authority, or MBA as some people call it, is $4,150. The Media Fire Company, $1,550. And the Media Tax Collector, $2,100, for a total of $29,900. I make it in the form of a motion to accept the engagement. that's what I'm doing.
Yes.
Yes.
Motion is made, and I heard a second. Is there any discussion on the motion?
I think you'd be quite satisfied with Barbara King.
We have it.
So,
We have it.
good to have a good auditor.
Yeah, they do a nice job.
All those in favor of accepting the audit engagement letter with the details as specified by Councilman Lisa Johnson, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say nay. The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. And the last item is the renewal of the agreement with GoTo for information technology / network administrator services. The grand total of this agreement is $18,420 for the year. Make that in the form of a motion.
Is there a second on the motion? There is. Any discussion on the motion?
These are tech people, correct?
They are.
That just come in and do maintenance and education like that. So yeah, that's a good,
Without them, things don't work.
exactly, especially in this day and age.
Correct. All right, all those in favor of accepting the renewal, approving the renewal agreement with GoTo in the amount of $18,420 for this coming year, please say aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say nay. The motion passes unanimously.
That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, now we all have the second opportunity to ask Lisa Johnson any questions. Looks as if we get the same result.
Let's get all the finance questions.
Okay, all right.
You're
Now,
on.
move on to Councilwoman Sarah Dixon, Personnel, Public Relations, and Historical Archives.
Yes, well, I have no report for personnel, for historic archives. I have no report. But I do have one thing to say, and that is, with the holidays coming, not only be safe in your home, but if you're traveling, be very careful out there and be blessed. Happy holidays.
Thank you, Sarah. Does anyone have any questions or point of discussion for Sarah this evening? Hearing none, we'll move along to our bookend public comment and privilege of the floor. If there's anyone who's present who wishes to address council at this time, please come to the microphone, tell us your name, where you live, what's on your mind. All we're getting is one vigorous shake of the head. I'll take that as it. All right, so before we move to adjourn, wish everyone a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and hope to see you again next month.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn has been made.
Second.
We don't need a second, but let's take a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
See you next
We
year.
are unanimous. See you 2019, folks. Good night.
All right.